Hey guys, Paul here. So today I'm going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And why that's become kind of difficult. So I know you're probably really confused. Hear me out. Basically, it feels like discussing and critiquing Yu-Gi-Oh! In the modern day online has gotten a lot more difficult. And there are a few different reasons why, but basically, what I mean is that there are a lot of critiques or criticisms that somebody can make about modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. Lots of different things like, maybe the products aren't to our liking, maybe we want a different like printing structure for packs or rarity distribution, I don't know, maybe the ban list or something that you're dissatisfied with, perhaps you don't like the power creep in the game, or prize support, or any number of other sort of things that people don't like about Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. And I think it's totally fine to have criticisms about the games that you play. In fact, that's something I'll probably be getting into a little bit more later. But I found that when I do make videos or social media posts, or anybody does actually, bringing up these criticisms, you will attract a couple of different crowds of people. So the first crowd of people are the ones that kind of just hate Yu-Gi-Oh! Completely. And they take any person critiquing Yu-Gi-Oh! As just a sign that, well, okay, Yu-Gi-Oh's dying, obviously, like it's always been, and this is why it's terrible and all that stuff. These are oftentimes your extremely disenfranchised, very angry, kind of, I wouldn't even call them Yugi Boomer, maybe just like Yugi Doomer. This person who probably isn't even really playing the game actively today, but they've kind of set in stone their opinion on it. So these might be people who say, yeah, that's right, because the game went downhill with the extra deck, right? Synchros ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! The moment they introduced Synchros, it was all downhill from there. Or it might even be like an anime opinion, like everything after Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was terrible, and that's when the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series died, right? And they should just go back to that or just destroy the game entirely. And also, you'll hear so many different opinions from these people, but something that I've oftentimes found is that these people don't actually engage with Yu-Gi-Oh! In earnest. They have not actually played Yu-Gi-Oh! In many years in some cases. They don't actually know what the current meta decks are. They don't really necessarily know what, the latest summoning mechanics look like, how the most recent decks are played, and in the case of the anime example, they haven't actually watched anything past, let's say, like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX or maybe 5Ds. Their assumption, though, is that new equals bad. Things were better back in the day, and anything past that is just awful. So any complaint that somebody makes is just sort of, derivative of the ultimate fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is totally doomed and awful today, and that's just all there is to say about it. And I don't like that. I sometimes feel like I attract that crowd because it's not the crowd that I want to attract. You guys know that, like, on this channel in particular, we're not always like super duper positive and optimistic about Yu-Gi-Oh! I've got lots of critiques about the game and things that I'm not super happy with or would like to see improved, but I also still play Yu-Gi-Oh! And like it, so it's kind of like, I don't know, I don't agree with the idea that like Yu-Gi-Oh's dead, because it's not. Like, that's clearly a lie. People are still playing, people are still buying, there's a thriving online community, people are still talking about this, they play Master Duel, they do stuff, whatever. So I want to be clear that like I am not one of these people who just thinks Yu-Gi-Oh! Got like, infinitely worse the moment they introduced Synchros because it was different than what I liked. That's not my thing. I see these people online a lot in like comments sections on many, especially like the official Konami posts. You'll see these people a lot where it's like, this game went downhill after insert pack, or they should just reboot Duelist Kingdom and that's it, and then like destroy all these other cards. And I always found that view to be honestly kind of selfish as well. Like, I'm all for the idea of like maybe playing retro formats or like having an anime reboot sounds cool. Totally, fine, great. But this idea that like everything else must be burned to the ground in the process feels selfish to me, because there are a lot of people who enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! The way that it's played. Offering an alternative is great, but just telling somebody that, oh, well, because you enjoy the way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is right now, like maybe you like playing the modern Yu-Bell deck, or you like, playing through Tier Limits format, or you're just enjoying whatever it is that you're enjoying today, nope, not valid, it should go. It's all part of why Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying or dead or whatever. That's not really cool. Like, we shouldn't just assume that the thing that's new is bad and the people that are enjoying it are in some way wrong. Not the case. The second group of people, though, is, and this is the group that I find like a little bit, it's sort of weird. So there's a group of people where when they see a video where I'm like, okay, I kind of have an issue with the way that some generic extra deck monsters have been handled today. They'll leave a comment that's something along the lines of, wow, all you do is complain about Yu-Gi-Oh, just quit if you don't like it. And I've always found this to be akin to like the shut up and dribble crowd, just sort of in a different context, right? Where it's like, okay, you can have complaints or things you dislike about things that you engage in and like play. So I like Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't like every single card in the game. I go to tournaments, but I don't love the experience of like playing in tournaments 100%. There are little things that I would love to change, little improvements I'd like to see made. I don't think that without those improvements, these are complete wastes. And so it's weird to me because I'm always like, is this just the modern internet where everything's so binary, right? Like you have to either love or hate something. You know, you're with me or against me, black or white, right? It must be, you know, either that you love Yu-Gi-Oh! And everything about it, or if you have any small complaint, well, you should just quit and like get out of this game. It's not for you. Stop complaining. That's always so bizarre to me because it's like, you know, making criticisms and kind of opening up discussions and stuff like that and making your voice heard when you have critiques is like how we kind of move forward and like learn things. Konami needs feedback. In fact, they themselves have admitted that in many cases. There are player surveys. They have surveys in Master Duel. They do surveys at YCS events. They've got an email address that you can even like email for, you know, organized play support and stuff like that. It's not that, you know, every single critique will necessarily be like heard and immediately applied, like, oh, I think that they should print this in a different rarity, so they're just going to do it the next set. But by continually talking about this stuff, we can sometimes make a difference. I actually think that was like a good recent example of that was with the ban list announcement back in July before the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship qualifiers, where they said like, okay, the ban list is not going to come out before these events happen, so don't worry, guys. Now, I'm sure that led to some other problems down the road with the ban list announcement date and stuff, but they knew that people were worried about this and people were voicing these concerns, and so they made a statement on it. And Konami's actually been doing a slightly better job of, you know, being a little more vocal about like when a product delay happens. That Speed Duel product got delayed the other day, and they actually said exactly why. It was due to production issues. So, you know, in Yu-Gi-Oh's EU branch especially, they tend to be pretty transparent about like when change has been made to an event or a product or something like that. So, basically what I'm saying in all of this is it seems like it's tough to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Because people will oftentimes sort of assume that you're maybe speaking in bad faith, or just that like if you don't love everything, then you must hate everything. And I think that none of that's really true. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! To death. I don't think I'd really be here if I didn't. I don't think I could just make videos on something that I hate. And I don't think that anybody's wrong for enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh! In any particular way. It's just like the assumption that it's all got to be kind of like black and white is where I kind of get off the bus. The idea that like old Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the only way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is good and everything else is terrible and should like be gotten rid of, should be removed, right? But like, what about the people who like that? And the same thing goes for, you know, people who think that only new school Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the best and old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Has no place. No, I think that the options should always be there to play Yu-Gi-Oh! However you want. If you want to buy retro packs and stuff like that and do a sort of retro series, fun, good, power to you. That shouldn't be like eliminated entirely. And then the second thing again is just like, it's okay to have mixed feelings about things. Like, you know, we're humans, we have multitudes. It's okay to like change your mind on something. It's okay to feel conflicted about stuff. Like, you know, I think that maybe this is just like a general life thing. If your opinions on things are like strictly one way and you will not hear anything else, that's like more of an issue, I'd say, than having, you know, some degree of nuance or subtlety to what you think about the things that you enjoy. But maybe that's getting into a whole different conversation. Anyway, I want to hear what you guys think about this. I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like this is something that you observe in like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Discourse? Maybe I'm just making mountains out of molehills. The irony is not lost on me that I'm basically making a video complaining about people complaining about Yu-Gi-Oh! Complaints. So like, I'm aware, I know. But had to make it anyway because I want to hear what you guys think. All right, it's gonna be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, by the way, thank you for subscribing to this channel if you have, because we're almost at 100,000 subscribers, which is crazy and something I never thought we would get to. But yeah, we're not far from that. So thanks, cool. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. All right, see you guys in the next one. Fast turn.